registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
19 minutes past 4, we're talking about the performance, yet again, of Free State as the top performing province in regard to matric results. I'd like to know, by the way, if you have any connection to the Free State schooling system. Maybe you've got family there. Maybe you're listening to us from those provinces. Maybe you've taught in the system or know somebody who does. Please feel free to share your thoughts and your insights into what you think is going on and going on better there. Maybe you've got younger siblings making their way through high school or family members that you're looking after. Len has a contribution and says this, Tate Mahwe, the late MEC of Education, laid the foundation, and that is why the Free State is doing well. He took a page from Panyaza Lesufi and took it to another level. My mom is a teacher, and what the MEC did, he made the environment easy for teachers to do their work. He spoke to passion and not work. That's the problem with teaching, a job versus a calling and a passion. Exploring this issue with me, just to reintroduce my guest, Themba Mola, CEO of the Kagiso Shanduka Trust, who've been doing really important work in building up systems, making systemic changes, rather than just looking for pockets of excellence and hoping that they in some way multiply. Mr. Mola, before we broke for the traffic, you and I were just starting to engage on the question of leadership, and training seems to be a crucial part of what you do. I'm interested to know, when you start working either with district officials or leadership within schools, presumably they had an opportunity to tell you what was frustrating them and holding them back. First of all, what did they say? But secondly, and crucially, how did that shape the program? Because I'm sure you went in with a set of ideas, but I'll bet you've made some changes as you've gone along.
Absolutely, John. What we do in the program at inception, we convene what is called the retreat.
Right.
And a retreat is when we invite all the school stakeholders, the teachers, the SGB, and including, if it's a high school, the learner leadership. And that workshop is almost a reflective conversation,
right,
which is really saying, what is it that is going wrong in our institution? And it is a conversation which is not only talking about the institution per se, but also personalities within that institution. So we would ask a question like, what is it that you think you can do better to improve the performance of that particular school? So each school participates in this retreat, because unless a school defines a common vision on what they want to achieve, then you have a problem, because then the other stakeholders will not understand why they must exert themselves, why they should make a commitment, and so on. So it is these conversations of the retreat that gives us a sense where and what is it that we should do to position the program. In that conversation, the district official is invited to become part of that conversation, because district officials, as you might know, are designated to different schools to support them. So they become part of the conversation. But one of your listeners raised a very important point about the MEC. The program recognizes the political support which the MEC would provide, and in the Free State, the late Dr. Mahwe did it very well. So we combine the administrative capacity of the program and the political support, so that these two elements can interface to create functionality.
Yeah. So, sorry to cut across you there, but can we talk about infrastructure? Some programs don't just necessarily say, well, okay, if we give you infrastructure, things will get better, because obviously it's a question of what is it that you do with that science lab, what is it that you do with the computer center and so on. How have you gone about things at the KST? Because I know there are some programs that also say, well, we will bring in infrastructure once you show a measurable set of improvements that will persuade us that this infrastructure will be money well spent. What's been your approach?
Absolutely. We have two types of infrastructure. There is what we call basic infrastructure. This is your typical classroom, access to water. That one we don't put a prerequisite. But the incentive infrastructure is related to performance. So we would say to you, if you achieve this particular benchmark, we reward you with a laptop, with a science lab.
Right,
or
right.
We'll reward you with a computer center. And interestingly, the MEC then changed the conversation and said, if you get 100%, we will build your school hall.
Cool.
You can imagine the excitement.
Yes.
Schools worked so hard that
Right.
as I speak to you, I think there are about more than 20 school halls that we've erected in the Free State for schools that obtained 100%.
Fantastic.
So the infrastructure is linked to as an incentive, because one of the important issues for us is optimum mutualization. So if you just give a school an infrastructure without ascertaining whether they have the commitment to use and the ability to use, definitely it becomes a wasted resource.
I want to just ask you this as a final question then, Mr. Mola. I mean, sometimes we hear about remarkable programs, but they do sometimes have the ring of perhaps of exceptionalism about that. Well, this is remarkable, but it's not clear how it can be scalable. You're clearly working with a model that, however long it takes, is meant to roll out district by district across a whole province if possible, but further, if we keep at it. How have you achieved that possibility of scaling? Because, we don't just want things that are exceptional and remarkable and unusual, but we want things that, offer us signposts for a better future.
Absolutely, John. And I think one of the challenges that we are facing, and I hope one day we'll find a solution, this program is driven by funding that comes from us and also from the department. So when the department has to put in their own money, they then are constrained by what is called the PFMA, which then disrupts how the partnership is constituted. So we have to look at different configurations because
Right.
we also want the department to make an investment. But the good news of this model, John, is that as I speak to you, we have extended it to Limpopo, and one of the provinces, one of the districts called Sekhukhune East. If you have followed their history, in the previous 3 years, they have been remarkably improving to the extent that they are now at 84.6%
Right.
compared to their performance last year. We were invited to go to the Northern Cape in Francisbaard district. Also a similar improvement is happening. Unfortunately, when we take it to the provinces must be prepared to also put in their own money
Yes.
into the program. So that is what is constraining. But what we have done, working with Anglo-American, for example, we have partnered with Anglo-American, who engaged us as an implementing agency, where they put in the money as a private sector. And then we have the expertise in terms of the model. And we use their investment, which, as you know, a lot of private sector investment goes into these projects, but it is almost going into a black hole. So some of the people who use our expertise, then they can see the results because we are using a tried and tested model to implement transformation.
Well, thank you very much. An intriguing conversation. No more time, unfortunately, but a lot more to explore. We'll pick it up again, I'm sure, in the future. Themba Mola, CEO of the Kagiso Shanduka Trust, and they have played their crucial part alongside, of course, the key implementers, the Provincial Department of Education in Free State. And that province, once again, as I said, top of the pile in terms of matric results. And it wasn't always the case. And if you look at what's been achieved between when Free State wasn't leading the pack and when they are, it's interesting to see what's been done. As I said, if you have some first-hand experience, maybe you went to school in the Free State in recent years or have family members there, please call in, add a layer to what we've already learned from Mr. Mola. 28 minutes past 4.
EWN Business.
Stephen Curtis, good afternoon. A better day today.